Rakuten is the smartest way to save money when you shop because you earn cash back at over 3,500 stores. Fashion, beauty, electronics, home essentials, travel, dining, concert tickets, and more. Your favorite stores like Lowe's, Levi's, and Nike pay Rakuten to send them shoppers. And Rakuten then passes on a part of that payment to its members as cash back. You're already shopping at your favorite stores. Why not save while you're doing it? It's a no-brainer. Membership is free and easy to sign up. Get the Rakuten app now and join the 17 million members who are already saving. Cashback rates change daily. See Rakuten.com for details. That's Rakuten. Your cash back really adds up.
Hello, welcome. Let's chat. It's hard. You want to talk? I know, that's disappointing. Sit back. Let's work this out. How's it going? What are we doing here? Where are you going? Hey there. Wow. It's not always easy. It's amazing if you think about it. Let's think about this. Strange. I have some thoughts about that. Life is hard. Trauma bonded.
So this is the start of a special series that we're doing on This Is Actually Happening. It's a 5-part series. It's about restorative justice. If you don't know what that is, it's just when a victim of a crime and a perpetrator of a crime are able to come together and find some sort of like reconciliation outside of punishment. It's definitely for both parties as a benefit. And it's meant to move away from punitive measures and move toward healing and this idea that both might be able to move forward in their lives despite serious harm having happened to them. So the 5-part miniseries is called A World Beyond Revenge. And like I said, it's going to be featuring 5 stories of people who have been on both sides of the violent and tragic incidents of harm. And if you listen to the This Is Actually Happening episode, you heard Whit say these things already. We've got 5 stories from the US and the UK. It's kind of true crime, but it's also true crime with kind of an unexpected ending, with more resolution between the affected parties. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much room for comedy or levity there's going to be in these. So
Couldn't find much at all, really. Great story, though. It was a great story.
great episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heather's episode. Yeah. Welcome to Trauma Bonded. I'm Elly Westberg here with Therese Garcia.
Hello.
And today we're discussing episode 351 of the podcast. This Is Actually Happening. What if your brother was murdered in a hate crime? A brief, this is just the This Is Actually Happening summary. A woman's brother, David, is murdered in a hate crime, and she's
I'm sorry, can I just ask you a question? Are we not supposed to say her name? You say a woman's brother.
all of our summaries are written in that kind of perspective. So
You never say
it's
that?
always a woman or a man.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Oh. Oh, you never say their name ever in the summary?
No, that way it's sort of a line that we follow. That way, if it is anonymous, we don't accidentally like say
So you're
someone's name.
saying David right there. You say David was murdered. You just said it.
Yes,
So the victim you can say, but not the storyteller, you say?
Whit revised this one. So any questions should be brought to his office.
So it. This is
You should
stands.
write him at 482 42nd Street. I'm just kidding.
Did you just give his address?
No, it's wrong. That's not bad though. A woman's brother, David, is murdered in a hate crime, and she spirals into a cycle of revenge, resentment, and anger until she meets with the man who killed him. And full disclosure, I work for This Is Actually Happening, and T doesn't work on the show, but she's still a wonderful person, I guess. And she comes in fresh. And this show, Trauma/Bonded, is for the listeners, a space where we can talk about each episode, digest it, and reflect on it with empathy and also a bit of levity. That's Trauma Bonded. T, what stuck out to you is the heart of Heather's story.
Thank you, Elly. I went with one word for Heather's story on this one. I went with the word presumed.
Mm.
It's a legal word. I mean, it's a word. It's just a word. And there is a legal term.
Presumption of innocence.
Yes. Presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Have you ever read Presumed Innocent, the Scott Peterson story written by his lawyers?
No. Have you?
Yeah. I think I have that book over here somewhere.
That's not why I chose it.
Riveting read. Go on.
But in Heather's story, what it means to be presumed, right, is not just in the legal sense, right? Presumed, I'm thinking is like assumed.
Like a presumption.
Like a presumption.
Yeah.
But I use presumed
How
because
dare you presume that about me?
right. Was thinking all the way to
Aren't you presumptuous?
right. I think it goes all the way back to when she was a kid. There are a lot of presumptions.
Oh, yeah.
Right? She was the daughter of a doctor,
Yeah.
but she's not so good at math.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of stereotypes about being in a Black family. They didn't want to fit into that stereotype. She had a gay brother. A lot of judgments around that. And then, of course, Chris meeting her brother, killing her brother because of that. Chris in the courtroom being found guilty. Heather wanting the death penalty instead of the life sentence that he did get. Was it a life sentence?
I think it was like life sentence plus 25.
Yeah. And then, but to presume, right, is kind of deciding before you understand.
An ass out of you and me.
I think that's the saying, right? But yeah, that's why I chose.
Oh, no, that's assume.
I thought you were making a joke. I really thought you were making a joke. It was really good, but you just realized. Oh, wow. I thought that was such a good joke. And then
It doesn't make any sense, though, for prison.
it was really funny. I thought you were
being naturally funny.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm not able to do that.
Tripped up. Wow. If you edit it, though, we'll edit that out. No, let's keep it in, Kath. I feel like presumed speaks to those snap judgments we make, the labels we put on people, and then also that the difficulty of looking beyond those as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think this episode is a lot about judgment and assumptions.
And ass.
The presumptuous.
That was such a good joke. I really was going with it. I was really proud of you.
I know. I fucked it up. I was being too honest. That was good. Yeah, it's good tea. It's good. Good heart. Mine's twofold.
Oh, mine was onefold.
As it is. One is our judgment of others is often salted by the lens in which we view it. This was true for Heather when she worked with the prosecutors versus the public defenders. So when she was working for the prosecutor's office, she was viewing cases through the eyes of a prosecutorial lens, whereas when she worked for the public defender, she started to see it from more of a defense point of view. If you've done any kind of serious delve into true crime, you'll know that these points of views of these sides of justice can often wildly differ. When we're thinking about the Innocence Project, people that have battled their way into post-conviction relief, especially from retesting or testing for the first time DNA and sort of seeking to overturn a previously guilty verdict. And we understand the case details of how the police got to a guilty verdict or how they could be tunnel vision and who they're pursuing as the perpetrator. We clearly can understand how these points of view are wildly different in the criminal justice landscape. And I think we've learned from a lot of cases that oftentimes the police can get really narrow in who they're looking at, but like the prosecutorial side can get kind of to the point where they just don't want to lose. And if they do something wrong, They don't want to admit to it. And I think media traditionally has shown the public defender or any kind of defense attorney as maybe someone dirty or on the wrong side of the law or defending criminals. That's like kind of the reputation they get. But if you really saw the kind of cases that the public defender gets, it's usually people of color. It's people that have grown up in poverty or have like very little means available to them to be able to defend themselves, and they're usually targeted, and they never had a chance, and even though the public defender is meant to be something that's funded by the state, the public defender, it's proven over and over again in every state in this country, is the public defender rarely gets the amount of funding that the prosecutorial side gets, even though they're both state-funded enterprises. And that has something to say, and this is something that Heather was saying in the episode, about how we treat perpetrators in this country, even though we have due process and the assumption of innocence, we oftentimes don't act that way.
That's why.
Yes.
Presumed.
Thank you. And this is why it's so important, generally speaking, to leave your safe bubble and meet new people and experience new things to enrich different lenses that you have. Because we're all absorbing things through different lenses all the time. And it's up to us to enrich and diversify our lenses so that when we encounter new ideas or things, we can look at it from different points of view and not jump to conclusions. Secondly, also, I think a big heart of the story is about how we think of intelligence. And we've talked about this before. The test of first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. So Heather was able to understand Chris's upbringing and why that contributed to him being able to cause the harm her family endured, but she can also ask him to be accountable for the harm he caused. And when you approach criminal justice with a nuanced perspective like that, you're really asking for a lot, because I don't know, most people aren't capable of sort of holding those two ideas at the same
I
time.
love that, by the way, because people don't usually say that that's a sign of intelligence. Usually, things are so polarized right now that you must be at one or the other and be pretty on one radicalized side or the other to be pretty smart,
Well, and don't get me wrong, I do think there are absolutes. And we are currently in a country where we're going to have to start stepping up and saying, no, we're going to need to protect, especially the vulnerable here. But I'm talking about in a situation where nuance is allowed, when subjectivity is allowed, that's when this kind of thinking can come into play. But most people aren't capable of doing it. Or they are capable of doing it and they just don't want to. And we'll hear in this episode from Heather a lot, like the first 23 years of her story after David is murdered is her living in sort of I don't know how to explain it, but like something like a caveman point of view, like very reactionary, like you hurt mine, I'm going to hurt yours.
I mean, is it caveman?
No.
I'm just
Okay, let's get into it.
I'm just saying.
I can't wait to hear your point of view on this, T.
I don't think it's caveman necessarily. I think it's quite natural.
Okay. Well, I call it caveman because, yeah, it is natural, but it doesn't feel like it has much thought to it. It's very reactionary. It's very emotive. Don't get me wrong. It's easy to have that point of view when you're not the subject of the crime that's being talked about, right?
Right.
And I'm not even judging Heather at all.
Yeah.
But she admitted herself, like, she gets way reactionary anytime she's sort of asked to be. Let's talk about her grandpa.
Okay.
One leg had cigs.
Oh, yeah.
One leg had candy. I don't know, I just wanted to talk
I
about
love that too. That's so cool.
T.
It's a win-win, I think.
Have
It
you ever?
doesn't matter.
Yeah, pick a leg.
Yeah, any leg.
Have you ever seen the movie The Saddest Music in the World?
No, never
Uh,
heard of it.
it's kind of an indie film. I want to say it's from early 2000s. It stars as Isabella Rossellini. It's black
Mm.
and white, and it quite literally is about this brewery, this beer company. They hit up all of these independent music acts all around the world to try to find who has the saddest music. So they all come together and sing a song, and like she gets to decide who the saddest, whatever, it doesn't matter. What matters is Isabella Rossellini is her character owns this beer company, and at some point, and you learn this in the movie, and I don't want to spoil it, she loses both of her legs, and she's got completely prosthetic legs from like her hip down to her, the whole way. And she works for a brewery. She owns a brewery, and her legs are glass, and they're filled with beer.
Oh,
We weren't expecting that, were
I
you?
wasn't. No.
It's an amazing film.
That sounds like a happy. I mean, after the fact. Do they drink it?
It's just like this weird little detail that's amazing, and it looks like visually, it looks so cool. She looks so cool. I encourage you to look it up. Do you want to look it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we should watch it?
No, if you just want to see a still.
Oh,
Is it-
like. But,
Oh, here. See? That's her legs.
Oh my gosh. It's from 2000?
Yeah. I thought it was early 2000s.
It looks like a much older movie.
It's black and white mostly too. It's a gorgeous film. Highly recommend it. And her parents go to the Bunny Club in New York.
Oh my God, wow. That's who she's named after.
She's named after
A
a
bunny.
Playboy bunny. I was gonna look up what happens at a bunny club in New York, but I didn't. Do you know what happens there? I just assume it's like a regular bar. Right?
Oh, I thought it was like a strip club. No. Oh, no.
I feel
It's
like
not.
I've seen these things on other media, and I think it was literally just a bar
Oh,
that had like Playboy bunny kind of waitresses.
oh,
So
geez. Oh, I guess it was weird that I thought it was a strip club and that they went.
went to a strip club together.
But I guess I thought.
Have you never
was
gone
this it?
to?
No, we've gone.
Hmm.
But we didn't frequent. But I thought maybe they were just, cool.
Maybe they had a really good ribeye.
Mm-hmm.
How is a doctor's daughter not good at math and science?
Well, she has ADHD.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is.
And you can see how when there's this expectation set for you and maybe you quickly realize you're not able to meet it, that you're going to take especially as a teenager, you're going to take the extreme opposite,
Yeah.
right? And like lean into this idea like, oh, you're calling me a black sheep? I'll be your black sheep.
Yeah. She probably was good at it, which sucks. She just had ADHD.
She would need a longer time for a test. Like Donna? What?
What? No, just saying she had ADHD doesn't mean
Oh, she needed a pill.
Yeah, or just whatever she needed to.
Well, it's twofold, right? It's like her father's a doctor and she's also black. So, and she talks about this, like she felt like there was heavy expectations on her to be perfect,
Yeah.
to defy, I guess, blacks' upward mobility stereotypes or something. And if you think that you can't meet the expectations, it makes sense to lean into the opposite. And kids rise to the expectations that you set for them. People do, especially kids. So you tend to fit the label that you've been assigned or assigned to yourself. So if you said to yourself, I'm mediocre, or I don't measure up, I'm the black sheep, that narrative of yourself is going to keep repeating in your own behavior, right? This is why social media is the devil, because social media wants to put us all in boxes, give us like few descriptors on who we are and what we bring to the world, and that's it. And that's just not people. People are way more dimensional than that.
No matter what, it's bad.
No matter what, it's bad.
Yeah.
Don't one-dimension people. Don't one-dimension yourself, and don't one-dimension people. What do you have to beat a breast about, is what Heather's dad said to her.
Yeah.
And this is probably at a time when that was said a lot. And I feel like that has been said to me by my parents, and it's probably been said to you by your parents, and you're probably going to say it to your kids at some point.
Yeah, to my kids. But yeah, my parents probably said that to me.
I think I said it to my partner. Like, what are you problem?
You definitely have in front of all of us.
So this is when we were first introduced to her brother David, who's 9 years older, and her mom tells her that he's gay, and she proudly announces at school,
She loves him so much.
at her Catholic school, my brother's gay.
I mean, why is that bad?
I love
And I love it too. Fucking Catholics.
Yeah, shouting my brother's gay at a Catholic school is probably not the greatest thing to do, but I love it.
I love it too.
She was so proud of him.
Well, she also didn't know
What that meant.
Yeah, I love it too, though. Fuck him. It's not even a big deal.
Yeah, fuck him. So David's a very successful hairdresser. He's notorious for being late,
Mm-hmm.
but his clients loved him so much they gave him a pass for that. I don't know if I'd be as forgiving.
I don't know. I was pretty forgiving.
Heather's sister finds his body, and it appears that he's been killed, murdered, execution
style, which is awful.
And Heather is hysterical, and she's kind of losing it. And all these dudes are saying to her,
Calm down or something.
PTFDD.
Yeah. No.
No. I am going to emote my emotions as I see fit in this moment.
Yeah.
So Chris, who it is revealed that he is the murderer or the perpetrator of the crime, he's sort of bragging that he bought his car from a F word. And
I appreciate you not saying it. Also, I'm just saying, when a cop comes up to you, first rule,
yes,
don't say first thing, I didn't kill him. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to make a joke of it. I mean, I'm just saying, that is the first rule.
Yeah.
At least the way, Heather explained it. Like, it's like, I mean, that's...
Yeah, check out my new ride. I definitely didn't kill him to get there.
And I, first of all, who you talk about? Second of all, we didn't even ask you yet. I mean, that's classic. Murder 101.
Yes, but he was a child, it sounds like. Obviously, we're not going to say the F word on the show. I don't think that we ever have.
In your life? Or
No, on the show.
Oh, okay.
Or in my life. I would never say that word. I just want to say this really doesn't have, these are not synonymous, because the C word is obviously way different than the F word. See you next Tuesday.
Okay.
Like, it's not derogatory. It's just sort of like extra dirty, I guess.
Oh,
or
gotcha.
offensive.
Yeah.
On a podcast called Watch What Crappens,
Yeah.
which is one of my go-to listens, when they're saying that someone says the see you next Tuesday word, they say, and then Dorit said cut fist.
You just said it. It's such an accidentally said.
And then Dorit says cut fitness, and then Dorit calls Camille cut fitness. They make the C word into cut fitness. Like, it's like a placeholder. So they're not saying...
They're saying cut fitness instead of?
Yeah. But it's so funny because it just rolls off their tongue.
Like,
they just replace everything.
That fucking cut fitness.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, no one come at me. I'm not trying to equate cut fitness with the F word. Like,
you're about to accidentally say it again.
So the jailhouse snitch is the only case evidence they have. who is one of the more upstanding jailhouse snitches that isn't trying to look for their own deal. And it sounds like this is, and plus, like a circumstantial case, this is like the only evidence they have to give Chris a sentence.
Yeah.
So he gets 25 years, or he gets life plus 25 years. Is this enough to you?
Oh, to me?
Yeah, I'm asking your opinion. Are you pro death penalty?
Not really.
Not really, huh?
No. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I get where she's coming from. You know, it's a family member. I get it.
Well, she's 19 at this time,
You know, it's her brother.
and it's her brother.
I get it. The way I vote, the way I think about it, I'm saying no, death penalty.
But the discourse too, and
I get it.
in this time frame was like, I think it was very pro death penalty in this country. I feel like we're one of the only perceived progressive Western nations that still uses it, you know, compared to other ones. Heather has David's furniture, like his beanbag chairs and stuff. I just imagine like he had this like really amazing 80s style apartment in New York, and I would look up to him too. So she's got his beanbag chairs and his Bible. She sets on this path of self-destruction. And one thing that I want to talk about specifically is I thought it was really interesting that her first child's father was himself a criminal who also hurt someone else. And she doesn't speak to it too deeply, but she does kind of talk about it generally, that it doesn't make sense that she would have wanted to be with someone like that. But I think she's talking to how sort of on this path of destruction she was, and that could have spoken to why she would allow this person to be in her life, because she was really rigid about criminals in general. Like anyone that hurt anyone else, she wanted them strung up, death penalty, throw away the key, no chance for redemption. But yet she dates this guy and has his kid.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have feelings about that?
Thinking she didn't know. Thinking maybe she didn't know all that yet.
I mean, he said, do you mind dating someone who has been incarcerated for assaults?
Yeah, she minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she still dated him and had a child with him.
Yeah. She minds. Yeah, that didn't work out though. She's not into it.
I know, but it's interesting to think about how, again, this is a situation where you're holding two ideas at once. Like,
Yeah.
you're very upset about what's happened to your brother, and you have a really rigid idea of what should happen to people that harm other people, yet she's willing to not only date, but
Yeah.
have sex with / have a kid with a person that
You're right.
has also been on that side
Yeah.
of the law.
Yeah.
Do you think it's hypocritical?
I think she probably was able to, like you're saying, hold both
Yeah.
at the same, or compartmentalize, you know?
Well, and she kind of had a diminished view of herself as well.
Yeah.
You know, this is probably like black sheep sort of behavior.
Yeah.
And then at 27, she's diagnosed with leukemia, which didn't see that coming.
No.
And now she's got some downtime, and she goes back to school to study criminal justice. And this is where she really gets up close and personal with what is happening in these systems of justice in this country. And at first, she just, she's looking at it from the point of view of someone that has definitely been harmed and is a victim. She keeps saying the same guys or same people come through the system, and she has zero grace for them. She's like, lock them up, throw away the key. So a few years later, she goes to a post-conviction relief trial, and Heather thinks she's okay and that she can be there.
I'm good.
And
Good now. You know?
the guy comes out and she loses it again.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a real firecracker.
I like her.
I do too. And she's really deeply in this mindset of everyone deserves
Everyone.
death.
That's it.
Yeah.
I love that it's just to everyone.
Yeah.
Just everyone now. It's become more extreme, it feels like.
And then they go again. She brings her mother, and her mother's like, why isn't he in school? So here's where it starts to really start to affect her thinking, right? This is what we talked about early on. At this point, and she says this herself, she can only see these cases through the eyes of the prosecution. And this is key. She says she also becomes a helicopter mom. She can't hold a relationship. Um, she's just mad at people all the time. Like, what's happened to her brother has this hold on her, and it shows up in all different kinds of ways. And then she ends up going to work for the public defender. And now this is where it starts to change her thinking around, because she's starting to see things from a different point of view. And this is where she sees a system that creates a cycle, and she's hearing from clients that have a different way of living than she's grown up with, living in the inner city. And, she says it herself, like, she grew up in the suburbs, and she's starting to see, and she's not saying it excuses the behavior, but she's starting to understand the institutions and cycles that bring people into a life of crime. And it's not so black and white as someone does something bad and we need to burn them alive. And she decides she wants to meet Chris. And it was really difficult, but she found a victim offender dialogue thing. And she mentions too that working in the public defender's office has softened her. She's starting to see that the perpetrators of crimes or people accused of crimes are humans. So she's got a relationship with a facilitator. The facilitator is like, okay, I got to check with this guy, see if he wants to do it. Finally, they set a date to meet in January 2019. And she goes, and the facilitator keeps checking in with her. Are you okay? Every step of the way. She sees dogs in the prison yard, which is important later. We find out that there's a confidentiality agreement that Chris asks for, that she rejects. What do you think about that? Why would he want a confidentiality agreement or a non-disclosure agreement?
I wonder that too, because he's already in prison for the rest of his life. Is it going to get worse? It's not like there's a death penalty.
I assume it was his attorney saying, like, you're gonna harm your chances for post-conviction relief if she shares things that were said in this meeting.
It could get worse.
If- yeah.
Yeah.
In this moment, when she finally gets to meet him, she calls it an aha moment that he's held this power over her for 23 years. He said sorry. She didn't drill into what he was sorry for. That she didn't need that. She just wanted to hear that he was. And she even apologized to this guy for being mad in court or whatever it was. Okay, T, I got to hear from you because I know that you have polarizing view on forgiveness. One,
Wait, me?
yeah.
What are you talking about?
What do you think?
Why would I have polarizing views?
What do you think about what she said about having this aha moment that he's held this power over her for 23 years? Start with that.
He definitely has.
Yeah.
I mean, every time he's been close to her, she's buckled and lost it completely, right? She was self-destructive. She couldn't function, right, forever at all, right? She wasn't in control. I feel like she was almost imprisoned just as much as he was.
What do you think about her saying he said he was sorry and she didn't need to know what for?
I mean, I kind of agree with her on this one too. I mean, what are you gonna say sorry for? I know what you're sorry for. What are you gonna say? What? My brother's gone, you know?
Okay, and then what do you think about her apologizing to him?
I mean, I could have gone without the apology to him, maybe, but
Talk about that.
maybe I don't think it was her intention, but it may have endeared him to her, you know, a little bit. But he probably appreciated that
Mm,
because it likely affected him
it endeared him
to
it-
her.
it endeared
Endeared her.
Her to him.
endeared her
To him.
endeared her to him.
It was for him.
It was for him. That's what I'm trying to say, right? It was for him.
But from the outside looking in, does it, because her whole thing was like, she said to him, it was wrong for me to act the way I did back then. But
I don't think it was wrong for her.
I don't think so either.
I don't think it was wrong for her, but
In fact, she said, she qualified it with, you didn't deserve that. But I think most of us would go, yeah, he fucking did.
I would say he did.
I think the
100%.
very least
he
he could
deserved.
handle some words from some passionate words from the victims.
Yes. I would not have apologized to him, but I think maybe it would have softened him. It probably would have softened him in that conversation. I don't think that was her intention, probably, but it may have helped the conversation.
Yeah. And she says that she recognizes in these moments that he's stunted. He's still a kid himself. She says he deserved a better understanding.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
Well, I mean, what she said right after that is maybe he was questioning his own sexuality. And that struck me a lot.
Yeah.
That made me think a lot. Especially with thinking about the way he grew up. I mean, David was judged. He went to Catholic school. His dad didn't necessarily accept him, but if you're thinking about the way Chris grew up, if he was questioning his own sexuality in that environment, that was way worse.
He's not allowed to be gay.
Yeah. You can get killed. And he did that to David. But yeah, so if David, made an advance, he's questioning it, he feels threatened, he's questioning his own. If he's being reactive, it was a little bit strange that he killed David execution style. It does seem a little bit more premeditated, or, because it's so...
It's a harsh overreaction for sure. But as she says, he's a young Black man in the inner city, and we come to find out he didn't have the greatest upbringing. He panicked.
Yeah.
Either way, no matter what was the reason, he still caused harm.
Yeah.
And this is where this dueling ideas come in. Like, you can see him and understand why he might have gotten to that moment. It doesn't dismiss it or excuse it. It's just an understanding, because there still is this harm that has to be accounted for. And she asked about the service dog training, and this is what really became crystal clear to her. She said, why aren't you part of this dog training? And he reveals that his own father used to set dogs upon him intentionally to hurt him.
Yeah.
And again, she has this moment of like, oh, fuck, I can see his life perfectly laid out in front of me. Like, I see so many more things now. Like, I understand where he came from, what he's going through, what he's doing. And they talk about math and science, and she's thinking he could have been a STEM kid if he grew up in the right environment. Like, she's recognizing that so many things were taken from him prematurely just by virtue of where he was born and who he was born to and what color of skin he was born in.
Yeah.
And
Can you imagine if he was brought up in her house with her dad?
Yeah.
Like, her dad was a doctor. She wasn't that great at math and science, and he loved it. I mean, if you grew up in the suburbs with that dad,
yeah,
what would that be like?
could have been totally different.
It's pretty fucked.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting. She leaves there, and of course her mom says, it's your job to take care of him now. And she goes, "Okay." But there are so many people around both of them that don't want them to have a relationship. Heather says that her own boss doesn't think that they should meet again, and she's assuming that maybe cellmates or people that he was in prison with got in his ear and were telling him this. Maybe they were trying to tell him he was being a fool and that this was a trap. I don't know. I think this whole idea of restorative justice, victim offender dialogue together is so ununderstood by people and maybe so against the way we understand how punishment or criminal justice is supposed to work in this country, that it's such a foreign concept that on the face of it, she had people telling her this is not a good idea. He had people telling him this is not a good idea because it's just not normal. It's not usual, but it is beautiful. So everyone's saying there must be something wrong, but I think there must be something right, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we wanna actually affect change in this country when it comes to the prison industrial complex, we have to start reimagining how punishment slash retribution slash reconciliation looks like, and it's something that we've never been socialized to understand. But it's that whole idea of, like, um, insanity is when you do something, like, the same way and you keep expecting different results. You
Mm-hmm.
like, sometimes you have to, like, fuck with the system
Yeah.
to actually get different changes. And so she, like, kind of fucked around and found out, and she kind of fell into restorative justice training. She said she finally finds a space where people understood her, and she gets what they're going through, like, there's this understanding that exists. She kind of becomes a facilitator herself. She talks about how this is used in other countries, but in the US, we have a tendency to like to punish. And even still, even going through the training, when she hears about a case, she says that she does have an initial human reaction, but then when she sits and thinks about it, she can start to see another pathway forward for healing. And she talks about this, like, peeling back the onion layers, and they start off, like, hard, and they start to get soft as you get to the middle. She just wishes that more people were open to this process.
Yeah.
She likens prison to a permanent timeout.
Mm.
And she talks about how the school to prison pipeline is real. That is a real thing. She also talks about her own children. She's got a trans son who she calls a mini David. He fights for the LGBTQ community as David did, and she's never going to have 100% closure. But the whole point is that you see a person as human. In that humanity, there isn't one level. It's a multidimensional. People are capable of making mistakes, but they're also capable of having serious heartfelt remorse and are able to express that in a place where everyone is safe and there is a facilitator to make that happen. And guess what, guys? This is the next 4 episodes are all about restorative justice. That's what this whole shebang is about. T, did you have anything else that you wanna bring up?
I mean, it really struck me when she was talking about her own kids.
Yeah.
I thought that was really the mini David that
Yeah.
I'd started crying along.
Mhm.
Yeah. Her son takes that whistle to pride.
Yeah.
Oh, killing me. But I really loved what she was saying about doing this as early as preschool or kindergarten, right? Like, let's not punish these kids straight away. Just thinking about it, let's try to understand,
Yeah.
see where they're coming from, talk about it. That's what we're always trying to do. Not just be like, all right, that's it. Go to your room or whatever it is to punish,
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you know,
I feel like
figure it out.
generationally traditional styles of parenting or judgment is been very one-sided, like very
Yeah.
clearly, we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
You want to know why? Because I said so. You want to know who? Because I'm the guy. I'm the parent. I'm the dad. I'm the mom. And we're not willing to have conversations with our kids about why something's bad or good or blah, 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 blah. And we just want to say, it's like this weird power trip of like, just get in line. I brought you into this world. I can take you out. Like, you didn't like birth accessories. You birthed people that were going to become humans. And guess what? It's happening on your watch, and you're the one that's responsible for them. So why don't you start teaching them something instead of just like putting them into weird closets and boxes and labels?
It's a whole thing too, especially and when they're that age, they don't have language really yet, and it turns into this whole misunderstanding. And you're like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, oh, I thought this random thing. And you're like, oh yeah, oh, that's not that, oh, sorry, that wasn't it at all.
And if you don't talk to your kids for years, and then you find out years later, like you thought that for years, that's time lost.
That was a whole misunderstanding. Oh, we could have cleared that up like 3 years,
Ages ago.
10 years ago. Oh my God.
Communicate with each other, communicate with your kids. It always comes down to communicate.
Wow, this whole time. Wow, you've been suffering, for 10 years about this silly thing. That was dumb.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. This has been an episode of Trauma Bonded. You can find our show where podcasts are kept. Please rate and review us. Thanks to Heather for sharing their story and giving us the opportunity to talk about it. And thanks to the This Is Actually Happening team, including Whit, Missildine, Andrew Waits, and the maker of our music and website, Nathaniel Trimboli. And thanks to Cathy Sites for editing this episode, and Katy Caple for building those Instagram posts. Please subscribe to us at YouTube, and you can contact us at Trauma Bonded Pod Official. You know what I'm saying. We are trauma bonded to the story, to the storyteller, to the listener.
I don't know what you're saying, actually.
They do. To the listeners and to each other. Thanks for spending time with us today. Hey, I love you, T.
Love you, Elly.